Hi, welcome to Living Healthy with Amy Turner. It's great to be with all of you again. I took the summer off and I'm glad to be back. And today our special guest is Renee Kraczek. Welcome, Renee.
Thanks.
So glad you're here.
Renee I'm so glad to be here.
Renee and I have been friends for several years now. We met through another friend, Iris Cox, and she had classes that we took from her, and I had Renee on my podcast earlier too. Or sorry, Iris. Anyway, we're so glad to have you. Renee, as a hospice nurse, could see that some people were able to navigate challenges and change better than others. Then her own kids had varying degrees of abilities to manage change. This sparked a curiosity about what makes some people manage difficulties and change better than others. With the theoretical basis of her BS Human Development, her experience as a nurse in many fields, including alternative therapies, her personal experience raising 7 children, having an entrepreneurial husband, and researching resilience for a master's in health promotion, she has become especially qualified to teach resilience. As the owner of Aneu Resilience, she has coached many parents and teens, taught resilience in junior high currently, and guides imagery in a drug and alcohol rehab facility, knows the stories and tools to help both parents and teens to find solutions to the problems that plague today's parents and teens. That's so exciting, Renee. You have done so many things, and that's just amazing. Could you tell us about your resilience program that you started?
So I probably will tell you a little bit about the 4 pillars of resilience before I get going on that. So,
first of all, excuse me, could you explain what resilience is for those people that may not know?
Yes. So resilience is being able to manage change into growth.
Okay.
So, in fact, maybe I'd like to show a little diagram about it.
That would be great.
Okay?
Yes.
So
wonderful.
Okay, so this is what resilience is in the way that I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Okay, so here you are, status quo. And so you've got stresses on the top, but you know how to manage the stresses really easily because it has you already have made some like understandings and learnings about it. And so then, you've still got other stresses and maybe some other stuff that you support it with. But what happens is you actually have another stress that might happen. And because of that stress, you may not have the learnings and the growth yet. The yet is very important, right? And so then you come into this space where you're like confused, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to fix it, and all that kind of stuff. So this happens to us all the time. It's just like learning, right? You have stresses that happen, you don't know how to manage it. Then to the degree that you have the learnings, the understandings, maybe the strategies, maybe tools, whatever those things are that you learn, that is to the degree you, I didn't mean to say make lust. Those were just like words, letters, okay. But anyway, so those things that actually happen to make it so that if you get those tools to the exact same degree that you had before, then you kind of return to status quo. If you don't get a lot of tools, you're probably going to have loss. And, like some kind of things are not going to be working for you at that moment. But if you get really great tools and really, like really great strategies, then you're going to move into growth. So that is what I'm hoping to create. So you're going to have the stresses that happen. Of course, you're going to have worries. Then you're going to find tools. And this is where, my program comes in, finding great tools in order for you to not have loss, not just status quo, but grow into growth. So that's what I'm thinking, like what I'm hoping for in resilience.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you for explaining that. So, and how long have you been doing this for, did you say?
Well, it all depends on how you think about it because,
Right.
like, I mean, I've been on the path probably for 30 years,
Right.
trying to
Yes.
figure out. I've been a hospice nurse for 35 or so,
Mm-hmm.
been a mom for about the same amount of time, and those things really helped me to learn a lot about how to be resilient.
Yes.
And then I got my master's probably in about 2011. I
Okay.
did lots of like energy work things to help people. That started about 2004.
Okay.
So a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I've been
Yeah.
doing this.
That's so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. So, how did you decide that you wanted to be a resilient coach?
I would say, whenever my kids were going through, and like I had a daughter with a lot of anxiety, I had
Okay.
a son who was twice exceptional in school, and he was really struggling. He was being bullied. I had another daughter who really struggled. She was dyslexic really bad.
Okay.
I would say, each one of my kids have had different challenges.
Yeah.
And then myself personally, having an entrepreneurial husband,
Yeah.
that's taken, a lot of resilience too.
Yes.
And then just looking at all the tools that I gained from all those experiences, I decided to do resilience at the University of Utah.
Okay.
And so I was mentored by amazing people who had done resilience for 30 years before resilience was even a word.
Wow.
They just were really committed to it. So
Yeah.
I have just been so well mentored. And then Iris, she has done a lot of like resilient stuff. And so I just feel like all those amazing tools, I just have to get back.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's really imperative that I share the tools that I feel like I've gained.
That's wonderful. I
So
love
good.
that. There's so many people that can use this. And I love the word resilience. I just think it's so powerful.
It is
when you
powerful.
just hear that word, and the definition.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful.
Right.
So, can you tell me some of your experiences in the drug and rehab that you're working at?
That is so exciting. So of course people come in and they want, in our program, they really do want to overcome their drug or alcohol addiction.
Yeah, right.
And so it's not like we're making anybody. So it's really nice because they're choosing in, and
Yes.
that is like huge,
Yes.
But so what we do there is I am an imaging coach.
Okay.
And so
tell us some more about imaging.
I've just learned, this is new since I talked to you last, actually.
Okay.
And so what they're finding is using imagery to help them to see a new way of life.
Okay.
Actually has really been super effective. And at Beacon, they're having like a 95% retention rate. So people don't go back to drugs after they've done, Beacon. And one of the major differences in Beacon is that we have this imaging. Okay. And so basically it's that we're helping the subconscious to see a new view. Okay. So we're doing it kind of is more like hypnotherapy, but it's called creative relaxation visualization.
Oh, I love those words.
Mm-hmm. That's fun, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically we're giving the subconscious some like suggestions if the subconscious wants to take it up, that they can have these new views. And I mean, it kind of has to do with like a vision board or visioning, or like, they ask you to, if you really want something, to really visualize it in your brain and feel it and, feel it and see it and taste it and smell it and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of what we're doing, is we're just helping them to feel the real feelings that it would feel in order for them to be, not, you never say not, because the subconscious doesn't see that.
Yeah.
And so basically we're just creating a vision for them. Okay. And then the subconscious gets to choose in or not. And so we just do that over and over until the subconscious says, I see this life over here and I see this life here, and they don't match. And so I'm going to try to like move myself over to this view because I like it better.
Okay.
And so
I love
it's very
that.
powerful.
That is very powerful.
Yeah.
So how many days a week do you work there?
1.5, because I
Okay.
do every other Monday,
Okay.
every Thursday. So,
Okay.
enough to do. And I love it. Every time I come home, I'm like, oh, I just am so happy, these people. So,
Yeah, I bet
yeah.
it's so fulfilling.
Yeah,
You know,
it
to
really
know that
is.
you're really helping them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to transfer that over into just like helping, parents or parents with teens or, or even
Yes.
teens themselves, because like it would be great to have them not have to get into the drug and alcohol rehab facility, right? We just want to like support them now when they're, in the needs at this moment, and parents as well as kids, because parents are like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like that's where I was. I'm just like, I'm just like grasping, can anybody help me? I don't know what to do. I've never done this before. And so I'm just hoping to share, some ideas of things for those parents who are like really struggling like I was.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful, because I think the challenges with children are getting harder and harder, as time goes on.
Aren't they?
And they're struggling with things that we may not have when we were younger and we didn't understand. And I think the more we learn more tools and better tools, then that's helpful.
Then we can move into growth, right?
Yes.
That's right.
And that
would
just
good.
help so many families. I love that, because so many families are struggling today, parents and children and teens. So I'm just curious, what sparked your interest in working at a drug rehab?
Well, I was at another event that was talking about, how to be ready and whole and complete. And I met Jenny Lynn.
Okay.
And Jenny Lynn was the only nurse there, which made it so that she was doing like totally too many full days, And so she just was saying, are you interested? And I was like, So then I prayed about it and I felt really good about it. And then I just moved into it.
That's wonderful.
So,
I love that. So neat. Okay. So I'm just curious, back with your children, how are they doing now with their challenges, like anxiety and things like that?
That's what I think is so amazing. I think because, and I'm just going to say, God brought to me so many tools. I feel like each one of them are doing amazing.
That's great.
For example, the one son he had something called Erlin's.
Okay.
And
What's Erlin's?
Well, it's a visual processing about letters. So it's very unusual. But anyway, so he had this thing, and it was very hard to be able to have him read at all. And he still doesn't read super well. Okay. But at the same time, he is, very poised, very self-confident, and now he's on the Salt Lake Planning Commission. So he's a commissioner.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
I mean, not just that, but he's doing so many things in his life.
Yeah. That gives so many parents hope for if their children are struggling with that.
Right. Yeah. And so I just feel like the tools that I was able to like share, like for example, sometimes with parents they get like, oh no, my kid is going to be like this for the rest of their lives, right? And that's what you're told by school sometimes. With one of my daughters, it was like, she's never going to do well in school. And at that moment, I was just, my daughter said this so cute thing. She said, I saw your chin go up and you're like, and then you were just like, so like a little bit outraged. And, I was really frustrated at that moment. Right. Yeah. But I think that, as part, like I'm going to say the 4 pillars of resilience, one of them is self-efficacy.
Okay.
And so parents can have the opportunity to be able to say, okay, I don't think you're going to be able to do this. So let's figure out a way to do it. Okay. And I mean, that is important. But at the same time, saying something like, I don't think you're going to be able to do this. In self-efficacy, you're the one that kids really do start to believe what you believe about them. And so, and so what I was, taught with all the stuff, it is, that I get to, have that future focus.
Yes.
And so I, it's not all about right now, but like, what do I want to create that my child is in the future.
Okay.
And so then holding that picture in my brain, saying
Yeah.
these kind, like my kids have all ADD and all that kind of
Yes.
stuff. And so when when I'm able to say, okay, um, uh, who's the guy that did the light bulb all of a sudden? I can't remember his name.
Is it Albert Einstein?
Well, anyway,
Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison.
Yeah,
thank
right.
you. I know.
And so I could totally I could totally see that Thomas Edison was one of those ADD kind of people, right?
Yeah,
And so then I'm just like, okay, well, that's the way my kids are going to be. They're going to be this kind of person who's global thinking, and they, and they have all of these gifts and talents, but, the schools all say, oh, you got to do this and this, I have to be a farmer instead of a hunter, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the self-efficacy is one super important piece that parents can really help to nurture. So I have a whole bunch of, like tools and techniques and stuff that parents can do to nurture self-efficacy.
Oh,
that ability to say, I can.
Yeah.
Just I can.
Right.
There's so many things in this world at this moment that are helping people to say I can't, right?
Right.
And especially even, like the world is, we can say the world can be a scary place. It kind of depends on what your focus is. But if parents are in the focus of the world is a scary place, then they're going to say, I don't want you to do this and I don't want you to do that because this and that, But
and then that causes the children to start believing that and thinking that as well, because they follow after us.
Right. Yeah. And so then their self-efficacy is going to be lower because they're going to, I don't know if I can do that. I can't, I'm not sure. And so I'm hoping to coach parents to be able to have that, global self-efficacy, support the kids in their growth, right?
I love
that kind of thing. So I think self-efficacy is one of the really important pillars. Okay. Do you mind if I just go through all the four?
Yes, I would love you to. Okay. Please share.
Another one that's super important is connection. Okay. And I think that connection, like we're connected to phones a lot, but connection isn't like that kind of connection is not super real. Right. So I'm just thinking like connection, when you're outside and you have your toes in the grass and you have the sunshine on your face and you're just like loving life at the moment. It's so fun. Yeah. So like connection to nature is super important. And then also, those times when you're just connected to your own creativity, like you just, maybe you could even just be doodling or drawing or just writing circles or like creating some little thing or even just like any kind of creation. Our whole system is meant for creation. So I think just connecting to our own creation is important. Yeah. Connecting to people is important. Connecting to your spirituality is super important. So there's all these connections. And when a person feels very connected, then they're going to feel like their self-efficacy is going to be higher because they're going to I have all this support. I don't have any problems. I can do the things that I need to do. Yeah. So that boosts resilience.
Yes,
really big.
I love that. Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing that.
So then connection is one of those really important pieces. So connection, self-efficacy. The next one would be purpose. Okay. And so you can have, I can, but you can do what? Like you've got to have a what sometimes, and even if it's like for a baby, I want to learn to walk. So then that's their purpose, right? And I think at this moment it's been a little bit hard and struggling for some of the teens to find their purpose. Like what is it I'm trying to do with my life, right? Right. And so I have a bunch of tools for both parents and teens to be able to how do we discover what is your purpose? Wonderful. What is your, I have a thing that I say every morning, 4 things, but this one is, I choose into my true nature and purpose. So that's part of it is finding your true nature, finding your purpose. That's really important, I think, in that. And then the last one is hope. Yes. And because you can do all of these things, but if you don't have hope, then you're not going to move forward. It's that, faith to move, right? Yeah. But I really looked at what is hope? Because, I hope that I'm going to get a lottery. That's,
Yeah.
like, but there's not a lot of power behind that kind of hope, right? It's just sort of like, oh, it may or may not happen.
Yeah.
But I think that the real solid, resilient kind of hope is based upon, I can do things. Like I can have things happen. I make things happen. So that's the self-efficacy piece. And then I can choose the direction that I want. So hope is really based upon both the self-efficacy and the purpose that I was talking about before.
Okay.
But when you've got those two put together, then it's really beautiful because, then people actually can move forward in hope and faith and belief. Like I really can do it.
Okay. I see.
And so that's resilience.
And that's the order of it.
I think it seems to be, well, first of all, I think my very first one, I started with self-efficacy, but the first one I think is connections.
Okay.
Because once you feel that support underneath you, then you can start to feel the self-efficacy, and then you can move to purpose and then hope. And so I think it's kind of that little transition right in like that.
I love that.
So fun.
So did you create this yourself? Or?
Pretty much.
Wow. Yeah. That's wonderful. Oh my gosh.
Of course,
that's very creative.
Oh, yes. Thank you. That's right. I did have, some support from those wonderful professors that I had at the University of Utah. But they had little pieces of this. So like I'm one of those that loves to just grab this and this from all over the place. And that's what my creativity is I just put it in a little package.
Okay.
And so, I'm the one that put it all together.
That's so awesome.
And it's really like tried and true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, and it shows up everywhere. Like, I notice, even at church, they have some basic things and it seems like they fit into that. And then, somewhere else it kind of fits into what their, pillars are. And it's like, I can see it everywhere.
Yeah. That's wonderful. And so, and you work at the schools, right? Or
I have worked at the schools. I was going to have to
I don't know if you are right now.
Yes. And so, yes, I did a program at the school, at the junior high. And it was all about resilience.
Okay.
And it was so fun.
Wow.
It was really huge. We made it really big.
That is so neat.
And so there was a lot of people affected by that. And some of the kids were like, are you doing that next year? Because that was so good.
Wonderful.
And, some of the parents were just like, it was really helpful.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Renee. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so, and then you do individual coaching. And so if anyone wanted to reach out to you, they could just... Yeah. Okay, that's
that would
great.
Be super great.
Love it.
I would love to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So we are so grateful to have you here today. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
I love learning about resilience and your program that you created and all the things you've done. It seems like you have so many tools that have just created this wonderful program, and I'm just excited for you to keep moving forward with it. And
Thank you.
Sounds like you've touched a lot of people. And you're going to keep touching so many more people.
That's right.
So wonderful.
My goal is to give back and have fun.
Yeah, I love that.
Those
That's
are
wonderful.
important to me.
Okay, so where can they find you if they would like to reach out to you and connect?
My email is Aneu, A-N-E-U.
Okay.
Number 4, letter U, Aneu for you.
Okay.
@gmail.com.
Okay.
That's
wonderful.
my email. That would be the best place.
Okay. All right. So if you'd like to connect with Renee and reach out to her, she has some great tools that would be really helpful for you or your children. And just reach out to her in that email. And thank you so much for joining us today at Living Healthy with Amy Turner. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching this episode of Living Healthy with Amy Turner. If you enjoyed watching, please be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified about future episodes. If you would like to learn more, you can comment below and be sure to follow and message me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks a lot for watching and have a fabulous day.